Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about the final episode of Series 19 and what a series it was. It was really strong even from the first episode, the first task to now, the final episode. I've just thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. And we started off very strongly in this episode too, both with the prize task and with Alex's little bit at the beginning with him and Greg reading out their vows. I just thought that was very funny, especially when Greg was talking to him about how jokes are in 3 parts and he'd actually done a 4th part. Just very funny. But yeah, the prize task this time I think was a really good one for a final episode, and it was the item that gives the best double take, because this forces the contestants to think of something mad and something really shocking and things that are confusing as well. So we started off, I think, very strongly, and I know there's been some discussion about whether or not this was underscored, but Matt brought in some boots in a dustbin, a big black bin outside, and of course this would make you double take because you'd think there's a body in there. So yeah, I really liked this one. I thought it was really good. It was simple yet effective. Greg saying with the scoring oh well, I've seen boots in bins before, but it's if you were walking down a street you would do a double take at this. Then we had Fatia's one, and hers was so confusing yet so funny. So hers was men with beards, and then she went on this whole tangent about farting in front of a cat, which I get where she was going with it, but it was still very confusing. And her thing was that every time she sees a man with a beard, it could be a Muslim man who'd be eligible for her to marry, basically. And I thought that whole story was quite good, especially because it insulted every other man in that studio, because she couldn't find a man with a beard that she liked, and all of the men who were involved in this series of Taskmaster, including Greg and Alex, both have beards. So yeah, I just thought that was really funny. Jason's one was really confusing too. It definitely made me do a double take, and this was the most meals with dad trophy, which is just so wild. There are just so many questions running through your head when you see that. Where did he get that? Whose dad? Why were they having a competition? Was it just for that 1 year? Did they do this every year? So many questions. So good. I really enjoyed this one. Then we had Stevie, who was absolutely fantastic. This was such a good reveal, and it was her fake arm. I loved the reveal. I loved that she was obviously so nervous about not messing it up. But yeah, I thought that was really good because it genuinely did. It was oh my God, what is that? And you would do a double take. You'd double take at both the hand that's here and the fake arm, and you would have to reevaluate what you were looking at before. So yeah, I thought that was genius, and she pulled it off really, really well. And then we had Rosie, and surprisingly this is not the most disgusting prize that she has brought in, but this time she brought in a life-size representation of her monthly period, which was just this giant monstrous thing covered in blood and used products and stuff, just disgusting. And I guess it would it make you double take, or would you just not want to look at it? I don't know. Greg, I even though I do think that Matt was underscored, I don't know how else I would score it, unless you kind of bumped him up to 3 and had joint points. But I think understandably he gave Fatia 1 point, which definitely makes sense. Matt, as I said, got 2 points, Jason got 3, Rosie got 4, and then Stevie got 5 points. And I definitely agree with Stevie winning this task, but I did really like Jason's one as well. So yeah, I do think this was a difficult one to score because everybody's prize was so good. Everybody did really, really well on this one. And I think, as I said, this is a great one to end the series on, because it's this is just such a wide array of prizes that if you look at them all in together, you would have no idea what that prize category would be, which I really enjoy. It really gives the contestants free rein to be creative, be silly, think of confusing things or just what mad things that they have. And on to the first task of this episode, and this one was to completely fill the yellow box with sand, and if you touched the box you had to hold it for the rest of the task. It was really tricky. I would definitely not be touching boxes if I didn't have to. And I love that Stevie started off this task saying that she's going to be very deliberate with her thoughts and emotions, which is a phrase that's stuck in my head ever since I watched this episode. And then immediately touched a lot of boxes, but I'll get onto her attempt properly. But I was surprised at just how many of the contestants just grabbed the boxes that were in front of them, not thinking that could be bad for them to do. Because we started off seeing Fatia and Rosie first. Fatia immediately picked up the boxes and did spill them as well, because she's moving so quickly. And I get why she's moving so quickly. She definitely could have thought about this a bit better. I understand going for speed, But yeah, she did just screw herself over by just immediately touching the box and not thinking that there might be a little bit of a trick. Because Rosie did have a sensible approach to begin with. Like, she was trying to pick the sand off the top, like, without touching the box, which I thought was quite smart. And it was just unfortunate that she did touch the blue box. And I did like the trick in the blue box, because obviously I thought the trick with the one box will be that it's like not full with sand, but I didn't think that the blue one would like be extended down into the table. I thought that was quite funny to watch them pull out that massive long box. Both of their attempts had such funny moments, like Fatia going to kick in the door and like almost falling over and then dropping all of her sand. And then she dropped her sand another time when they were in the shed. Like, she just dropped so much. I'm very surprised that she had any sand to put in the box at the end. But I guess her mistake was not just looking elsewhere. Like, she got to the shed, and once she kind of dropped her sand again, it kind of gave up a little bit and didn't decide to go anywhere else. But she did have the smart idea to put that sandcastle thing in her box to kind of like add to it, which I thought that was quite funny. Like the fake sand, there was lots of really fun tricks in this one. Rosie's attempt was very funny as well, like putting the box on her head. But yeah, she managed to get a decent amount of sand in her box, but she didn't fill it all the way up. But I guess she'd kind of used all of her sand in there. Like, she'd gone to the living room and got all the sand from there. She got the sand from the shed and from the dome. But again, just didn't really think to explore anywhere else. But I guess at that point she was covered in boxes, like she was wearing one on her head. So I definitely understand why she would feel like she's got too much to carry around. But yeah, it's definitely a bad idea on that aspect because she didn't fill up the box completely. We then saw Matt and Jason, and they both absolutely smashed this task. They both realised that obviously those boxes are going to be tricks. Jason was really like evaluating everything. He was looking at the orange box and working out why that was a trick, and he figured out where the blue box went. So he ended up completing this task without touching any other boxes apart from the yellow box, which is really impressive. And he just, after kind of figuring out that both of the boxes that were on that table were tricks, he then went exploring and found the big pile of sand, which was actually a throwback to the sabotage task in series 14, which is one of my favourite tasks ever. So I love that throwback. And yeah, so he ended up doing it without touching any other boxes, which is really impressive. But I think probably his downside was that he did take a long time to like evaluate the scene, which is smart, but speed was definitely the winner on this one. Because yeah, Matt, even though he did realise the boxes would be tricks, he still picked up the blue one, which I don't really understand why. But he just immediately just ran out of the dome and found the pile of sand, so was able to fill his one up in 1 minute 25, which is incredible. Both of these ones did absolutely amazing. And then we had Stevie's, who her attempt was definitely my favourite one. This was just madness. I love that she started it saying that she can be so deliberate to then make so many impulsive decisions. Yeah, it was just chaos from the start, immediately touching the boxes, and then, I don't know, thinking like maybe, oh, if I tip the table, then I'll get the sand out that way instead of tipping the box, like touching the box and tipping it. But she ended up touching all of the boxes and like having the table full on her, and then realised, oh yeah, there's probably going to be other things outside of here. But yeah, every time there was a box, she touched it. The one in the living room, and she decided to move and then decided to try and use her forehead to scrape the sand from the table into the box, which was amazing. She found the box in the shed and the one labelled sand, and instead of thinking, is there actually sand in there, and maybe trying to use something else to open it, she just picked it up and then had another box to carry around. I do think that trick was pretty harsh, like having sandpaper in there instead of sand, but like that's such a Taskmaster thing. Of course, it's not going to be real sand in the box labelled sand. I think she got tricked by the sandcastle thing as well, and then ended up having to use like a rolling desk chair to move all the boxes because she just had so many. But she did a really good job considering the fact that she was holding all of those boxes and like didn't disqualify herself by not touching any of the boxes. Like, it was difficult to say like she had to hold it the entire time. Like, I do think it's fair that if she was touching a box, like all the boxes, then I think that's acceptable. But yeah, it was just so funny, this attempt. I absolutely loved it, and it's so impressive that she managed to get 3 points because she filled up the box the entire way. A very smart idea to actually continue with the task. She did find that big pile of sand, it just took her a lot longer. But yeah, definitely smarter than Fatty and Rosie in just thinking, well, there's got to be more sand somewhere so that she could actually complete the task properly. But I do think Greg was fair in his scorings. I think, it's kind of nice on the final giving points, like especially because they're both people who were in last place or like very low down the scorings. So he did end up giving Rosie 1 point because he deemed Fatty as one to be more filled than hers. So gave Fatty 2 points. Stevie then got 3. Jason got 4 points. And then Matt, of course, got 5 points. Now on to the second task. And I think this is probably one of the harshest tasks that there's ever been. This was so difficult. So the first part of this task was to freeze it on your spot in the most powerful pose in 5 minutes, and there's a selection of items that they could choose from, and they had to have 2 involved in their pose. And I absolutely love this one started with Matt's items like all getting blown away, because in their first like location task, like the P Olympics, or one of the first, is that it was so windy on that day, so it's just like all of his location tasks were just done in a very windy day. This one, so horrible. There was an inkling in my head being like, they're gonna have to stay frozen for longer than they think, but nowhere in my mind did I think it'd be as long as 10 minutes. But obviously at this point we didn't know that, so we just saw them do their poses. Fatty's was like holding a puppy out. Jason, he was standing on like 2 podiums with a mallet and had Alex kneeling down beside him. Matt was killing a puppy, putting it out of his misery after it got hit by a car. Rosie decided Powerful was hanging out at a roller rink, being a cool kid, with roller skates around her neck and like posing on the side. And then Stevie, she was on the podium thinking. So I think all of their poses, even though it's not judged on that, were quite good. Like they all took it in a different approach, which again, it's really nice to see. I love it when everybody has a different idea. And I would say in some way they are all powerful, especially like Jason and Matt. They've kind of gone for that more like violence approach. Fatty has gone for more like dignified, powerful. I think Rosie, her power is kind of come from like simplicity and just like, yeah, I'm cool, I don't need to show off, and like I'm powerful. And then Stevie go with like knowledge and like being like a statue and that kind of powerful. So yeah, the twist in this task was they had to stay completely still for 10 minutes, and it was the least movement wins. This was crazy. Like I said, I thought there might be a second part, but I did not think that they would have to stay still for 10 minutes. And I loved that like all of them, as soon as it was read out, was like, of course that's what I have to do. And like Jason saying like, oh, how did I not think this would happen? Like this is the hallmarks of needing a second part to this task. And I absolutely love that Alex also got roped into having to like just stay still for 10 minutes and like on his knees on the like the not concrete but like on the really hard ground. Like it was quite bad for him as well, which I kind of like that he had to do that as well. That's always quite fun. I loved the way that they like showed this task, like having the montage of them like all struggling. Like Matt especially, like I felt so bad for him. His was just awful. Like you said, the twist in the spine as well, having to hold like a mallet up. Like that looked so difficult, kneeling on the ground. Like there were so many aspects of that were painful. Jason as well and Stevie, they both had that added challenge of having to balance on that podium. That would take a lot of effort, like not effort that you necessarily see. Jason as well, holding something above his head, that's always difficult. And it looked like Stevie was like sitting on her like ankle really weirdly, because when it was released into like, she sounded so in pain. And even though like Rosie, like she had probably the easiest pose, she was still in pain as well, because like her elbow on the column was hurting and like her toes were like losing sensation. Like even if you went for an easy pose, it was still painful. Fatty though, she gave up after 3 minutes. But like again, hers would be painful because like holding your arm out for 10 minutes will hurt, even if there's not too much weight on it. So yeah, everybody, I think, apart from Fatia, did really well. However, Fatia was very entertaining. I love that she was just like, well, I'm not going to be in pain. I'm just going to have fun and just chat, which I always like that. Like, why put yourself in pain for a TV show? We then saw all of their attempts like sped up, and I really liked that illustration because it was a really interesting way to see how much they moved. So I really liked that, and it kind of took away any ambiguity. Like, you saw in like pure terms how much they moved. And I'm very surprised with how well, I mean, Jason especially, because he barely moved, but Matt as well, considering how little he moved and how difficult his pose was, because I definitely think he had the worst one. Yeah, they did so good. Matt's like pain at the end was crazy, but yeah, Jason, I think, even though his look, I would say, is definitely easier than Matt's, but as I said, that's that additional challenge of having to balance on those podiums and hold the thing above your head, and I think he just did exceptionally well. Rosie and Stevie barely moved, which was really impressive, because even though they did have easier looking poses, you're still standing still for 10 minutes and you still are either in like slight discomfort or pain in Stevie's case. So yeah, very impressive for both of them. And then the comparison between their attempt and Fatia's, where she was just moving all over the place. So good, just absolutely hilarious. I loved the contrast. So the way this was scored, and I think is undeniable, although I do feel bad for Jason and Matt, was Fatia got 1 point, Matt got 2, Jason got 3, Rosie got 4, and Stevie got 5. This, I mean, there's no arguing about how the scores would be done because it is literally like objective. But Jason and Matt, with how much pain, especially Matt, was in, I do feel bad for them scoring so low. But like, it just depended on what your pose was. Like, there's no controlling that. Like, it just was a good advantage if you picked a simpler pose or one that wasn't really painful. But yeah, I thought this was really good. As I said, I think this is like verging on that. Is that safe? Because of just how much pain, like, especially Matt was in, and Stevie. Like, I think she was saying that like her foot just hurt for days because of like the way she was positioned on that podium. And like the podium, again, like I said, you'd have to be balancing on that as well, so there'd be like tiny little movements that you'd have to like counterbalance. So yeah, very tricky. And I think this is probably one of the ones that like barely passed that risk assessment. But yeah, as I said, I loved that Alex was also kind of in pain for this as well, because he ended up having to sit there for 10 minutes, and I just would have loved to have been inside his brain when Jason was getting him involved and having to sit down. But I love that he owned it. I love that he did it. Like, he has such incredible dedication to Taskmaster and the tasks. It's amazing to see. And then for the final proper filmed task of this episode, we had a team task, and this one was such a good team task. So they had to provide the best drive-thru experience. They had 5 minutes to prepare before their first customer came, and then after that it'd be every 2 minutes. Their scores were based on like fast service, accurate pricing, and great food. But this was so good, it definitely inspired by Series 16, the hotel task, which is still one of my favourite tasks. I think, especially team tasks, I just adore that task. It was so good and such a brilliant way to end that season. And I think it's a brilliant way, and I think it's a brilliant task here to have as the final task. It's just so good. I love it that I love that it's a task that is just forcing the contestants to kind of have fun. I love like these tasks where they turn people's like jobs or just like menial activities into a task, because like in a way that's just what we're doing through life, is just doing a series of tasks. And yeah, I just think this is so good. I think the setup was really good, and both of the team's attempts were just really funny as well. And I think Stevie has said that this was like her favourite task of the season, which I definitely understand why. We saw Stevie and Jason first, and they were incredible. So they actually decided to prep some of the items, and all the items were so funny, like dirty, like having dirty water and toast cut out into different shapes. Soldiers, soldiers actually look like soldiers, fizzy milk, like so many weird things, and all the pricing was very tricky as well. Like it was all like £1 and 6p and lots of things like that would make it more difficult to add up. And they obviously had a bit of a disadvantage because there are only 2 of them. So Stevie ended up doing the cooking and the serving, and then Jason did the ordering and then the payment as well, which in some ways is a little bit of an advantage for them, like the way that they did it, because you didn't have to then pass and shout on what the items were for the person to do it, like to do the maths. So like Jason just had to take the order and remember the maths and then go over to the till. But the till looked so tricky. I don't understand. Like when he was reading out the instructions, like it just seemed like gobbledygook. Like I just did not understand what he was saying and like how that made any sense. They did have a little bit of a rough start, as I said, with Jason trying to figure out the till. Stevie almost having a breakdown immediately, being like, I just don't know how I'm going to handle this. But she handled it very, very well. I guess it's just that, you know, getting into the flow. Like once you've got into the flow and just go mad, like she just did such a good job. It just really reminded me of like some of the games that you'd play as like a child, like the online like flash games, like cooking and preparing meals, which I really enjoyed. So I think I would have really enjoyed doing this task as well. Like it would have been stressful, but it would have been fun. But yeah, they absolutely smashed this task. Jason had the really smart idea of stalling the customers, so like kind of preventing them from getting like building up and getting too many orders too quickly, which meant their wait time was lower, even though they perhaps took a bit long on the task, so he was just chatting to them for ages. So really smart idea. I wouldn't have thought about that. I would have been thinking, like, let's get people through as quickly as possible, but it was really the opposite that you wanted. So yeah, Jason, really good job in figuring that out. And Stevie just did a really good job on keeping on top of the orders, like getting everything done really quickly. She'd prepped things before. Yeah, it just absolutely amazing. And I loved her customer service as well. Like she took it so seriously. So she was so polite to everybody, wishing them like that they have a good day. And like taking it quite seriously as well, like really wanting to do the best, like with the moat. And they were like, oh, is it got extra gluten on it? And so they were just going and grabbing like some breadcrumbs to sprinkle on top. She made a flag out of bread, which is just like, she didn't have to do that, but she just did it. But yeah, I want to kind of see the full cut of this one. I think this was just so good. I would have loved to see like her just doing everything. Like she had set up the moat before and was really proud of that. And I just love that she was just kind of cooking and like also obviously eating stuff as she was going along as well. But yeah, this was so good. And Jason definitely got in the swing of things, like stalling them. He had the maths all ready to go. He had to put it in the till. Like the people involved in that task just seemed like the crew seemed to be having a really good time. And then we had the team of three, and the crew did not seem to be having a good time on this one. Not really, but like their characters were getting very annoyed at the team of three. Yeah, this was just chaos from the start. Like them arguing over what a pentagon was just crazy. I can't believe that two people didn't know what a pentagon was. I thought that they would be better than they were, but I think they definitely got the order of who would be where wrong. Fatia seemed to be really good at the maths in this task, so she should have been in the dome doing the till. I think Matt should have been in the kitchen, and I think Rosie should have been taking the orders. I think that would have worked a lot better for their team. Like even when Matt was asked if he was good at maths and wanted to do that, he seemed uncertain. And yeah, he was just so slow with doing the maths. And I definitely understand wanting to get it right. And I get why he was thinking that way, like thinking they had to be perfect. But yeah, it really slowed them down. And Fatia just like chatting over the radio, like insulting like the customers and telling people to be quiet, just really good. And I just think Rosie perhaps thought that it'd be real cooking, not this weird stuff that they'd come up with. And she just seemed to not really be that good at like multitasking a lot of things. Like the fact that it took 16 minutes to burn a piece of toast was just crazy. But I liked how much like the people, like Alex and the two other people that were there, they seemed to genuinely be getting angry. And like I was getting stressed watching it. I was just like, oh no, the customers they're leaving. And the fact that the one lady had to go on a scooter because it was taking so long they didn't have another bike to go round on. There was just so many things that went wrong in this. Matt not knowing where like the serving place was, like that he was trying to get them to reverse back and stuff. Yeah, it was just chaos, but really funny. I thought this was so good. And like trying to defend it at the end, like saying, oh, we won't compromise on quality. And Rosie very boldly trying to get 4 points on this, which yeah, I definitely agree that was too high. But yeah, very, very good task. I thought this was very entertaining to watch. A lovely task to finish the episode on. So the team of 2 got 5 points on this and the team of 3 got 3. I just love how consistently throughout the series that the team of 2 have been like performing quite poorly on this team tasks, like in terms of points. But on this one, they absolutely smashed it. I'd love to see them win because I just think they are a dream team. I'd love them both so much. They work so well together. And then on to the studio task. And this one was to get the most of your carrot in the bucket. And they had to have their hands behind their back the entire time. and the carrot was on a string and it had to be off the string basically, so they couldn't just put the whole thing in there. But this did confuse me the first time I watched it, because I was like, how are they moving the carrot? But it was attached, there was a string attached to their ankle, so they could move it that way, which makes a lot more sense, because I was so confused about like, how are they getting it to move up and down? But yeah, that's how they did it. And Jason did amazing. He managed to just get the carrot off really, really quickly. And I guess Alex was quite surprised at that, considering like the phrasing of the task was the most carrot. Like he was just thinking people would be like biting it off into it, not that they would manage to get the entire thing in there. Stevie as well did also manage, I think, to get the whole one in there as well, because she managed to get it, like catch it in between like her knees and hold it there so she could bite it off and put it in there. Matt eventually managed to get it. I mean, the whole thing was just how quickly could you just grab hold of it in some way. But Rose's attempt was so good. Like she was doing so well, like balancing like with like her leg behind. But of course it was still attached to the string, so it wouldn't count. But the fact that she didn't hear the whistle and was just rolling about on the floor trying to like bite the carrot, but she was like licking it and she didn't hear the whistle go. Such a funny way to end the episode and end the series. I did feel bad for her though. Even though I did enjoy this task and thought it was really funny, it wouldn't be the one that I would choose to be the final task of the season, because I think the studio tasks have been really strong this time, because sometimes the studio tasks like in previous seasons have been like not very exciting, or like they kind of end too quickly, or like the scoring's all like all or nothing, and I don't really like that. But this season I don't think there's been a studio task that I didn't enjoy. I thought all of them were really, really strong, and like some of the best studio tasks that they've done. And I think to end on this one, even though like it was good, this feels like a mid-season studio task. I would have loved to have seen one of the more like tense ones as the final one. It just feels a bit of an odd choice to have as like the final task of the season. But this task means that Stevie won this episode, which is really good to see, especially because she's been like the underdog in a lot of ways. So it was great to see her win another episode. And of course, with this being the final, it means that we have the final scores of the season. So unsurprisingly, in 5th place, we had Fatia and she got 141 points. 4th place was Rosie with 149. There's more of a gap there than I thought. And then shockingly, I cannot believe this, it's Jason at 3rd place with 150 and Stevie in 2nd with 154. This surprised me the most, because there's no doubt of who the winner would be. But this surprised me the most. I'm so happy for her, because she just seemed to be having a really, really fun time. Like I thought Jason would be in 2nd place, but he did like throw a lot of tasks, and we did have Rosie in 2nd for quite a while, so she has fallen quite a bit. But yeah, I'm so happy for Stevie. That's just so impressive. And of course, Matt wins the series with 169 points. I obviously would have been happy if any of these contestants won, because they would have all been great to see in the Champion of the Champions. But I am very thrilled that it is Matt, because I am such a big fan of his. So I'm so excited to see him in Champion of the Champions. So yeah, very thrilled about that. But as I said, I would love to see these contestants be in Taskmaster more, because all of them were so good. As a series, I think this is definitely up there as like one of my favourites, potentially even my favourite, because I just think it's been so, so strong from the very, very first task. And I think even just the promotional video for this season got me drawn in really quickly as well. Like I'm always obviously excited to see what the next season of Taskmaster would be. I think the way that they did the intro, they didn't reveal too much, but it was just so exciting. And I think obviously having that draw of having Jason there as well, like you would be intrigued by that, because like, this is a person who is like flown from another country to be in this show. Like he's obviously a fan, he wants to be there. And I think obviously all of the contestants were very, like either I knew them or I was really intrigued to get to know them. All of the contestants have been fantastic, both individually, as teams, and as a whole group. I think they've been funny, they've been different, like from each other. The teams, as I said, worked really well, especially JV Marzukas. Like I think both of them, such a brilliant idea to pair them on the team. Like their energies complemented each other so, so well. And the team of 3, you had such different people in that team, which really worked, because you never knew what you were going to get from them. So yeah, overall, I think like the team pairings were great, but I think because all of them are so good, any of the team pairings would have worked as well. There was such a great selection of tasks throughout the season. I think there was a really good mix of like objective scorings, creative ones where the scoring is a bit more subjective, like timed tasks, like double parters as well, tasks with a twist in it. I think nothing really felt repetitive. Nothing felt like, oh, they're kind of phoning this one in a bit, or like this task isn't that strong. Like I think all of them were very strong. Like off the top of my head, I cannot think of a task that wasn't good. Like there's nothing that's stuck in my head being, oh, that was a bit of a disappointment. Like everything was so good. There were some absolutely hilarious moments, like Matt revealing himself too much, Jason smashing up the studio, Rosie's like, are we the monsters? So good. I loved Fatia's running joke with like Greg and marrying him, and like Stevie's like disaster moments as well, and Matt's as well. But like I think Stevie was such an entertaining contestant as well, because she seemed to just she was so joyful, but then also had like some of the worst moments in tasks, but just like carried it in stride, and was just so energetic and all over the place, and just, yeah, everybody was so entertaining, and I just loved that everybody seemed to love being there. It really reminded me of like series 16, which is one of my favourite ones as well. Like I'm going to have a hard time picking which one's my favourite out of those two. And I have seen some people with like the past few series kind of thinking like, oh, is Taskmaster getting a bit old? Like my answer was always no, it's still good. But this one I think has just blown them all out of the water. I think it feels fresh, it feels new, which is really hard to do when you're 19 seasons into a show. But yeah, there's something different about it. It feels like rejuvenated a bit. I think one of the reasons why it perhaps feels a bit more fresh is because we've got more characters in there as well, with like the crew getting more involved, which I really like to see. I like having them involved. I don't know if some of them are crew but also talent, or whether some are just like talent that are kind of like acting like crew. But we definitely saw some of the crew members in like Jason's tasks as well, because he's got them involved a few times. Matt got them involved for his like losing his dignity task. So yeah, I think that's really exciting to see. I love having those extra people that could get involved. And one thing that I think is quite interesting from like my perspective is that I'm obviously somebody who likes to kind of keep track of the scores and like see whether I agree or disagree with Greg on the scoring. And I don't know whether because there wasn't really that many like controversial moments, but I did find myself like not caring as much. And I think it was just because I was just really like, I just really liked everybody's attempt. Like, it might be because we kind of knew who was going to win from the start. Not that I didn't care, but it wasn't like on my mind when he was doing the scorings. Like, it was just like, well, they're all just having fun, and I like that. So I don't know whether that's a change for me or whether it's a change in the show, because normally I'm like really excited to see who wins and like really excited to see like the scorings, because it's something that I like to think like, oh, which one would I put in first place? But I didn't really have that this time, because I was just like, everybody's just so good. I just love them all so much. And I think the dynamics of them all was just like, as I think I've just kept saying, is just, I just love the contestants. And I just think sometimes you have series where maybe the contestants aren't as strong, but the tasks are good, so that's fine. And sometimes it's like, oh, the contestants are brilliant, but the tasks not that good, but the contestants make it good. But this one, tasks are great, contestants are great. Greg and Alex, their dynamics, so funny, like unchanged, but like still doesn't feel like overdone or anything. Like they're keeping that really well. The prize tasks were really good. Again, everybody put in a good amount of effort. People weren't being lazy with it, but they were also good categories. Like, they allowed the contestants to be creative and inventive and bring in really fun and wacky things. And the studio tasks as well, really strong. They've been tense, they've been exciting. They've been ones that you can get like involved as the audience, like trying to guess along with the contestants. So I really enjoy all of that. There've been like devastating moments as well, like Matt's song where he got disqualified, and when Jason and Stevie got disqualified in the first team task. Like, there've been all that, and like the twists have been really good. Like that task where they actually had to fail it, like that was so good. Like, I did not see that coming whatsoever. Such a good like design of a task, and everybody's attempt, like particularly Jason, Matt and Stevie, like their attempts were so good. Like, I was genuinely like shocked. And I like that there was a secret task as well, that 3 of the contestants found in the actual task. After this episode, they've put up a YouTube video where everybody was reading out their tasks. And I think was it Stevie and Fatia didn't find that in the actual task. They found it like before a task, so they didn't include it in the episode. But it's really interesting to see like they were all different for each contestant, which I didn't think would be the case. I thought they'd all be the same. But I really liked that there was that task that, you know, if they got it, it was like they had to then read out this thing that took ages to read out, and the secret task in there that was just like harmless, where you just had to put a little mustache on the entire time. So yeah, loved all of that. I think that was really exciting to see like whether anybody else would find it, and like Jason being the first one to find it, it's really entertaining to see him having to read it out. So yeah, overall, as you can probably tell, and as I've said a lot of times, I really loved this season. I think it's one of my favourite ones. I cannot wait to rewatch it again, even though I've rewatched it to make these review videos. I just think it's incredibly strong, and yeah, almost like I would even go as far as to say it's a perfect season of Taskmaster. So yeah, I'm very sad that it's over, but I'm also excited for season 20, and we got the reveal after this episode, which I was really glad that they did. They didn't leave us hanging, like they gave it to us, and yeah, very excited about that, because sometimes it's been quite a long wait, like depending on like the schedule, like if it's Champion of the Champions or something like that, like there's been a long wait before the season reveal, and I love the season reveal. Didn't get any spoilers this time, which was not the case for the past few seasons. So yeah, I really like the reveal. I like watching it. I like finding out like after that episode or like on TV or something. So really like that we got that there. So I am going to do a proper video on the Series 20 contestants. So I'm not going to go into them too in depth. So the contestants for Series 20 are Anya Magliano, Maisie Adams, Phil Ellis, Reese Shearsmith and Sanjeev Bhaskar. So I actually am quite intrigued by this one. So I know like 3 out of 5, and there's another one that I'm like vaguely familiar with. So Maisie Adam, I'm very excited to be on Taskmaster. She's somebody that I've been wanting to be on the show for a while. Anya is somebody that I've recently been introduced to, like before this reveal though, so I was very excited when this reveal came out. I've seen her on quite a few things recently. Reese Shearsmith is like the comedy creative partner to Steve Pemberton, who was on Taskmaster recently. Phil Ellis I hadn't have heard of, but I'm really intrigued to see what he'll be like. And then Sanjeev Bhaskar, I only really know as like him doing like acted things, like I haven't really seen any stand-up or anything like that, so I'm intrigued to see what he'll be like too. I think this is a really good lineup. I'm really intrigued to see how people will be, very excited as well. So yeah, even if you haven't heard of somebody here, or you perhaps like haven't heard of anybody, like don't let that discourage you or like not feel as excited, because this just means there's a chance to be introduced to somebody new. There's been loads of contestants that I didn't know before coming on Taskmaster, and I'm now a big fan of, and they're like somebody that I would consider like one of my staples of comedy. So yeah, definitely like take this as an opportunity to get to know somebody new. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you loved Series 19 as much as I did, and are excited for Season 20. Yeah, I am very upset that Season 19 has ended, because yeah, that is going to be, I think, one of my top ones. But yeah, very excited to see what Series 20 holds. Comment down below all your thoughts on everything I've talked about today, and subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I will have some more out for you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!